What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to do a collaboration review. We're actually going to do a entire wave review, except for one, but I'll get to that in a second. Obviously, here we have the Marvel Legends Vintage Series Wave 2 right here, and I'm going to do all of these reviews all in one video. I think it makes the most sense that way. There's no Build-A-Figure, so I don't really, as far as Marvel Legends, me getting entire waves, it's very few and far between. So I usually try to, if I do get the whole wave, like I did Apocalypse, I usually try to get it all in one video. But anyway, I digress. Here we have the vintage collection. They come in these nice vintage style packaging. I like that these figures, they're not a necessity to every single Marvel Legends collector. These are the type of packaging that aren't going to grab everybody. Obviously, this is the type of packaging that I grew up with playing with these action figures, and it's very reminiscent to the Marvel Superheroes card, which I actually just shot this review a couple months ago for the whole Fantastic Four wave. But obviously, this is that style packaging with a little bit of an update. Okay, and we're back with Hawkeye still in packaging, and I just kind of wanted to give everyone a good look at the packaging before I take the figure out and show you everything that he can and cannot do. But here he is in packaging. I think he looks pretty good. Now, this is the more classic look for Hawkeye. This is his more traditional look. Obviously, there is a big difference, a glaring difference between the previous version and this version. We'll get to that in a second. But the Hawkeye packaging looks really good. It says a nice, it's like a nice purple Hawkeye up top with some shadowing or raised logo in the back with white and yellow. I think it really accents the purple nicely. Then we have a nice picture of Hawkeye right here. Looks really good. It says bow and quiver are included, and that's pretty much all he comes with. You flip it around to the back, and then you have a short, very short, basic bitch kind of read up here. Nothing too special. We got the same picture that's in the front and the back. It says Hawkeye right here, and the rest of the figures in the wave. Okay, and we're back with Hawkeye out of packaging, and I gotta say right off the bat that the face sculpt looks good. The paint apps on the face sculpt, unfortunately, are very subpar. The eyes on mine are, whoa, one eye's on one planet, one eye's on the other planet. So he's got definitely the derp eye. While this is actually my preferred look for Hawkeye, a lot of people don't like the classic look for Hawkeye. I think it looks ridiculous, but I like it. It's kind of what I grew up with, so I don't have an issue with it. But just to kind of point this out and show you guys, his eyes are, whoa. And you can see even the sculpt for the eyes, like over here, that's where it should be centered, right here where the H kind of is. And then it's like way off to the right. Back and to the right. Back and to the right. Or it would be technically your left. His right. Back and to your left. Back and to your left. But it just kind of, I don't know. With me, it's always been that type of spiel. For me, it's really always been kind of an issue for me to, like, it's like you got everything else decent on him, and then you had to muff the face. Like, it's like, couldn't you have just, I don't know, quality control? Couldn't if someone have taken a look at the face? I mean, the face is like one of the first things I look at. Now, I did order this wave. I didn't buy it in store, so I didn't have the chance to. I didn't really have the chance to take a look at the figures before I bought them. So it was kind of like I got what I got, and that's pretty much it. But I can always head swap. I do actually have a couple of these older Hawkeyes that I was using for a couple other customs, but it's just a shame. Like, I shouldn't have to go through that. And what if I didn't have these extra Hawkeyes lying around? then I'd be kind of screwed. I'd be stuck with a derp face, you know, which kind of sucks. I mean, it's I'm really not trying to nitpick, but it's just like, could you just at least get the dang gone eyes right? Please. But taking a look at the two accessories that it comes with, not a whole lot. We've got the quiver here, which is a nice sculpt. It's a little bit futuristic, I think, for this look for him. This is more of his classic look, but it's just pretty much just a reuse from the previous Hawkeye. I think that this is actually the same quiver that was used for the movie Hawkeye. I might be mistaken there. Let me know in the comments below. But there's only really one paint app on here. The rest is just kind of like this metallic purple. Oh no, there actually is I take that back. There actually is a metallic purple paint because you can see where the mold is right here. And then there's like a bland kind of flat purple up top here in between the arrow's feathers and the quiver itself. So there's kind of like a metallic purple here, and then the flat plastic that it's molded in. And then we have some white paint for the feathers on the arrows, which looks okay. It's a little sloppy. It's definitely not the best. And then we have the bow, which, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm really sick of this bow at this point. I think enough is enough with this bow. It's time for them to give us a new sculpt. I would have liked to see a more classic look for this Hawkeye, to be honest with you. Give us just a classic looking bow and not this futuristic bow that's been used since the first MCU Hawkeye. So here is the modern Hawkeye compared to the classic Hawkeye in this wave. The purples are very similar on the chest piece right here, the armored piece right here. The purples do change around this area, the lower torso piece. Obviously, the torso piece underneath on the Bucky Cat body mold, that's what these are on, are a different shade of blue. This is a lighter blue for the classic look. This is a darker blue. And then we've got obviously this purple Winter Soldier arm, which a lot of people had issues with. But you could actually use this for your Dark Avengers. You could use this for your Bullseye Hawkeye if you wanted to. As far as Hawkeye's articulation does go, his head can swivel a full 360 rotation. I just snapped his neck and now he's dead. His head can look up, down. It can pivot a little bit side to side. I don't think it's really meant to be there, but it is. We definitely got some jive turkeys up in here. And that's pretty much it for that. Arms go up, down, full 360 rotation. It's got a nice little ratchet. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, which that is about maxed out right there. And then he has a swivel at the wrist, a hinge joint which goes back and forth on this side, and then up and down on the other side. So that's good that they did that. He does have an ab crunch, but this armor piece wants to get in the way, but it is there, and it goes front and back, and he can do the twisties at the waist. He can do the splits about that far, which sucks because he should have better range of motion than that in the hips. And I think it's actually kind of funny that his legs only go out about this far, and he's the newer figure. And then the older figure goes way further out. Like, look at that. That's kind of pathetic that an older figure with the same body has better range of motion than the new figure with the same body. Makes no sense at all. Upper thigh swivel, a double jointed knee, boot swivel, points to toe, points to heel, ankle pivot, 2 peg holes. And that is pretty much it for his articulation. So overall, I don't know really how I feel about this. He's on the Bucky Cat body mold. I'm not really going to do size comparisons here, just because if you're a Marvel Legends collector, you know what the Bucky Cat body mold is like. Overall, you know, I like that it's his classic look. I like that. What I don't like is that these move. Obviously, you can just super glue them like I just did, and then they won't move ever again at all. But that's what Hasbro does. They leave loose pieces on figures just to annoy the hell out of us. The only issue that I think I really have with this figure is the outdated bow. I'd like a new sculpted bow, please. And then even the outdated quiver, I'd like a different style quiver. A little bit of variety here would have been nice with this. I mean, seeing as we don't get a Build-A-Figure and we don't really get a whole lot of accessories, some new tooled accessories would have been nice with this. Just to go the extra mile to make these figures seem a little bit more special, I guess. Instead of just, this is your classic looks and that's it. Okay, next up we have Black Panther, another one of my favorite characters here as far as Marvel goes. And, I was actually in higher anticipation for this figure than I would say out of the rest of the wave, to be honest with you. As long as they keep pumping out Black Panther figures, I'm going to keep picking them up because I love the guy. So here we have, it says nice Black Panther logo, very, very classic looking with the yellow and then the blue kind of shadowing behind it. Looks really good. I love that. And then we've got the kind of jumping off the page, kind of lunging at you picture of T'Challa right there. Looks really good. It actually does show that he's got this like fist effect right there on his hand, which coincides with what he comes with. Obviously, those are a little bit different, but it says includes fireball. Doesn't even say that it includes hands, but that's pretty much it. And then flipping it around to the back, we have a picture of T'Challa, a little read-up on him, and the rest of the figures in the wave. And we're back with T'Challa out of packaging. He looks really good. I like the paint deco on him. It's very subtle, but it's a very nice, almost like a pearlescent black. I don't know how to really explain it. It almost looks like a greenish tint to him. I think it looks really good. It's really not picking up on camera. My camera's really not doing this figure some justice. It does have that nice little sparkle to him. If you bring him up close, which I will. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. But it looks really good. I think it looks very nice, actually. It kind of gives off that comic book shine to it. But I really like this new head for him. It looks really good. Very pleased with it. I like his little chain he's got going on here. His ceremonial looking design for his chain there. I think it looks really cool. I like the flame effects. We've seen them before with Johnny Storm, and I don't know if I'm going to necessarily use these, but I'm glad he does come with some fist hands for once. He doesn't actually come with some. He actually comes with a non-clawing hands. He comes with non-clawing hands, which is actually a nice breath of fresh air for the character because he doesn't just claw at everyone all the time. He does punch people in the face. I think it looks really good. I'm really pleased with the overall look on here, the overall choice in body. I kind of wish that we would have got some butterfly joints with this, but overall I pretty much like the way he looks. The effects are a nice like white pearlescent feel to it, look to it. Excuse me. Looks really good. It also continues with his collar piece right here. I think that looks really nice as well. There's an up close look of the collar piece. You can see that there's a little bit of a Panther logo right there in the center. Everything looks really good. It is a loose piece, so it doesn't plug into anything. I kind of wish it would have plugged in. This way I had the option, you would have the option to peg that in or super glue that into the peg hole so it doesn't flop around everywhere. I might end up super gluing it down to the body, but it would have been nice to get some sculpted detail there instead of this loose piece, but that's the way Hasbro does things with Marvel Legends lately. There's a little bit of marbleization going throughout the head and some other parts of the body. It's not overly noticeable, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can just remove these effects by just pulling them off the hand, and they really only fit one way, which is on these fist hands, like the same way with the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. You can just take the hands out by just de-pegging them like so, and then you can pop the clawing hands on. It is a nice firm fit for the hand, so I do like that it's got a little snap to it. And then if you want to get him in a clawing pose here, like this, or something like that. I don't know what I'm doing here. It's kind of a dog shit pose, but You get the overall drift. It looks pretty good. I like the hands. These hands, I believe, I want to say that those might be a new sculpt. I don't think I've seen Black Panther with these type of hands before. I have seen them with different various clawing hands, and I'm pretty sure I have every single Black Panther Marvel Legend that's ever been released, including the Toy Biz version. But I don't think I've seen these type of clawing hands with a Black Panther figure before. Maybe these are off the movie one. I'm not 100% sure. But he looks really good nonetheless. I'm pretty pleased with the way he turned out overall. He does have a little sculpted belt, which does move, which I'm kind of surprised they actually gave him this. It doesn't really have any sculpting or anything special on it. It's just kind of like a plain plastic color that does, it is a separate piece, does move. I'm sure you could cut that off if you don't like the way it looks. I'm going to leave it. I think it looks fine just the way it is. It doesn't move a whole lot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for sculpt and paint. As far as Black Panther's articulation does go, his head can swivel a full 360 rotation. It can look up. Oops. Can look up. Can look down. Can pivot side to side. A little bit better range of motion than Hawkeye, going side to side. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of job turkeys up in here. Okay. And the arms go up about that far. Really good range of motion in the arms. And then they go down. Full 360 rotation in the arm. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow. Decent range of motion in the elbow. More than 90 degrees is a plus. Swivels at the wrist. Hinge joint at the wrist going back and forth. Same on this side. Then we have an ab crunch, which crunches way far forward and way far back. The sculpting does continue on the ab joint on the front and on the back, so that's really cool. Waist swivel, can do a full 360 rotation. T-jointed, ball-jointed hips, which go about that far. Legs go forward, back about that far. Bicep swivel. Upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, calf rotation, points to heel, points to toe, ankle pivot, 2 peg holes. And that is it for his articulation. Okay, so overall, I really like this Black Panther figure. I like the overall paint deco on him. I like the little bit of shimmer in his in the entire body's paint. Like I said, it does have a little bit of marbleization going throughout some parts of the body, but it's not really that noticeable because of how dark the tones are. I like the collar piece. I like how the collar piece and his eyes kind of match, even with the flame effects. That's pretty cool. Overall, I'm really pleased with the head sculpt. I like that the ears are kind of like pinned back, like he's ready to go beast mode on somebody. I love that he comes with extra hands. This is actually, I want to say, one of the highlighted figures of this wave. It's one of my favorites, to be honest with you. Now, obviously, this is a subjective opinion. He's one of my favorite characters, and I'm not just saying this biasly. I actually think that he comes with the most out of anybody else in the wave. And I think I really like his paint apps. I like the body he's on. He looks really good. I'm pleased with it overall. And that's pretty much it for Black Panther. Okay, up next we have Vision, and here Vision is in packaging. I'm going to go through the same spiel I did with the others. It says the Vision up top in his own type of deco. Looks really good. Very professional looking. I like the white mixed with the yellow and the blue. Just accents everything beautifully. I like the picture of Vision over here. It just looks very classic looking. I just love the way that looks. And this is a much needed upgrade just in package, me looking from the Toy Biz version, I think, personally. The Toy Biz version was kind of floppy. Didn't really want to stand. The cape is kind of heavy on him. I was never really a big fan of that figure, to be honest with you. He does include the Ultron head, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, he includes a cape that's attached to his body already. I'm not counting that as an accessory. Flipping it around to the back, we have a picture of Vision over here. Same one that mirrors the front. It says the Vision, and then a short little read-up. Nothing spectacular. It's one big long sentence. That's about it. And the rest of the figures in the wave. Okay, and we're back with Vision out of packaging, and I gotta say, overall, he's very simplistic. with his design and everything. There's not a whole lot of sculpting going on here. The cape is obviously a new sculpt that, from what I can see here, it looks pretty good. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. This is a classic Vision that I have been asking for years, and we finally got him. We got the modern version before, we got the more modern version after, and now we finally got the classic look, which really, I always would think running a toy company, you would want to pump out the classic look first, and then maybe move down the line as far as going more modernized in the next wave or the previous wave or the wave after that. He does include this Ultron head that we've seen with the older Ultron body. Nothing too special here. It was on this is the same head that came on the old Titanium Man body. Nothing too special here, to be honest with you. The paint deco is much brighter on the head, though. I'll be honest with you. So if you want to do a head swap there with that Titanium Man body, you could. Obviously, the paint decos will be different. But if it doesn't bother you that much, you can go that route. I like the nice lighter red color in the head and then the lighter yellow to go with it. So it looks pretty good. Not the best accessory, to be honest with you. I would have preferred some extra hands with this figure. Some open gesturing hands would have been nice. Maybe an extra open mouth head, maybe him screaming. Would have been nice as well. Anything besides just an Ultron head would have been nice here. This is a figure I was looking forward to, and the fact that he just doesn't really come with much kind of, hurts the value, I think, of really my final verdict on the figure. Okay, as far as comparisons go, here is Vision with his more modern look. It's pretty much I want to say the exact same head, but I want to say the mold is better on this one. The quality control is better on this one. This one's got a misshapen head. As you can see, it's like misshapen on this side. It's like poking out. Looks like he's got a tumor. It's not a tumor, but it looks like a tumor. And then on over here for the gem on his head, this is just like terribly painted. Even the paint apps on his face don't look all that great, to be honest with you. This is nice and crisp and clean. The gem on his head looks fantastic. The line work looks a lot better. I like the fact that it's not glossy like this one. As you can see, he's very oily faced Vision right here, where this guy's got a nice matte look to him. It looks just so much better. And then where he's supposed to be shiny, he is shiny. Where this guy is just like a whole bunch of shiny. It's obviously got the reused cape, which I'm not a big fan of either. So let's just take this guy and we'll just get him out of here. Goodbye. And then we'll bring the new Vision in. And he's even on the classic look, it's just a much better look. He's on a much better body. He does have butterfly joints right there, which is fantastic. Where the yellow is supposed to be a more of a flat yellow, it looks great, I think. I love this metallic green. It really fits the character well. I love the newly sculpted cape here, and it sits well on him. It doesn't flop around or jiggle like it's not supposed to. You don't have to peg it into the back. It just sits around his neck, and it sits beautifully. So this guy's actually taking me by surprise. I thought he was going to be pretty much like a basic looking figure, nothing too special. But, where it works, it works. It really does. The line work could be a little bit better at the calf swivel. Obviously, you can see a little bit of the green kind of bouncing off of the yellow right there. It's not the worst thing in the world, to be honest with you. Obviously, the yellows here are different from the yellows on the boot portion, or the calf portion, I should say, due to this having to be painted yellow, and this is just a yellow plastic. That's really the only issue that I pretty much have here. A little bit of similarity here with the boot and that yellow here at the hands, because the hands are a yellow plastic and this is painted yellow. It's not, like I said, it's not nearly as bad as the other version that I just showed you, his more modern version. So it's just a shame that, the modern one at least got one open gesturing hand, and this one didn't get any open gesturing hands. It's just, it's like, oh, you give us better paint apps and better quality with this one, but you don't give us the extra things that you needed to make him definitive. As far as Vision's articulation does go, his head can swivel at a full 360 rotation if you needed to. The collar piece does get in the way, but if you push this down, you can swivel at full 360 rotation if you need to. You can snap his neck and kill him if you want to. You know, all that jazz. He does have some jive turkeys up in here. But he can also look down, and he can also look up for those flight poses, which is fantastic. Really good range of motion in the head. Does have a tilt on his head. I love these paint apps. I just love it. It looks so good. The arms go up about that far, and they go down, full 360 rotation in the arm. He does have the butterfly joints, which are really good range of motion there. Don't have any issues with quality control there as far as my butterfly joints being frozen. He does have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow. He does have a swivel at the wrist, hinge joint at the wrist that mirrors this other side as well. They both go back and forth. He does have a really good ab crunch, which goes forward and back, and the painting and sculpting does continue on the front and on the back. Really good job there. Waist swivel. He does have his T-jointed hips, which aren't the best range of motion, I'm going to be honest with you. Hopefully Hasbro starts fixing this. Maybe, just maybe, we get some drop-down hinges right there. That would be amazing, right? A upper thigh swivel, a double jointed knee. We do have a calf rotation here, and he points the toe nicely, points the heel nicely, and we do have an ankle pivot and 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. Okay, so overall, I gotta say that I'm pleasantly surprised by this Vision figure. I'm pretty happy that the classic version got the best version as far as paint apps go, as far as articulation goes, as far as range of motion goes. I'm pretty pleased overall with this figure, even though he's simplistic as far as what he comes with and his design. It works at the end of the day, so I can't really complain that much about anything. I don't have any quality control issues with mine. I don't have any loose joints. I don't have overly tight joints. He's not a quality control nightmare. Thank God. Okay, up next we have another one of my favorites, and another one of my favorite characters, to be honest with you. It's Ant-Man. This is Hank Pym Ant-Man, and he does come with a little wasp. That's his one accessory. It would have been nice if the mask was removable, but it is not. It is a reused mold from top to bottom. We'll get to that in a second, though. Here's the packaging. Looks really good. It says Ant-Man across here. Looks very classic. Obviously, that's the theme here. But it looks really good with the red and the black. And then we have a nice, beautiful, classic look for Ant-Man on the side there. I'm definitely going to keep this card artwork displayed somewhere in my collection. It says, comes with a mini Wasp. Flipping around to the back, has a nice picture that mirrors the front. As usual, small read-up, small synopsis, and then the rest of the figures in the wave. Okay, and we're back with Ant-Man out of package, and this is Hank Pym Ant-Man. Like I said, he is pretty much just a reuse from top to bottom. No difference in the Walgreens exclusive Black Ant that we got, which is not Hank Pym, by the way. I'm looking for subtle differences, but I'm really not seeing any in the sculpt, to be honest with you. Even the body, it's just a straight up reuse, repaint, redeco, whatever term you want to coin it. Nothing too special here, but we do have finally our classic Hank Pym Hasbro version of Hank Pym. It does look pretty good. I want to say that the line work on him is pretty solid. Don't have too many issues with that as far as that's being said. The one accessory that he does have is his wife. And there she is. I don't know if it's meant to be articulated, but the wings actually are on a little bit of a swivel. So you can move those and manipulate those wings if you want to have them up. Or you can have those wings facing down for different style poses. But there is a little bit of a swivel there in the wings. So pretty cool there. Not a big issue with that. A nice little sculpt here for the little minifigure. It would have been nice if there was some sort of like attachment to her foot that could attach to his back, so give off the illusion that maybe she's flying around his shoulder, kind of like the old Toy Biz Wonder Man that came with the yellow jacket. That would have been a nice little touch. But to no avail, I'm not really sure how I'm going to pose her. You know, if I still had my old train set from when I was a kid, my old HO gauge, maybe Wasp could fit right in there with that, but I don't have that anymore, unfortunately. Okay, just taking a look at Ant-Man's paint deco and sculpt. Obviously, he's just kind of on a nude body, basically. It's just obviously repainted. We've got a flat red here with a flat black, and then more flat colors right here for the blue, and the blue down there as well towards his feet. Let me just bring the figure up instead of pointing. The belt is sculpted the exact same, except the colors are actually flipped on the center portion for this Hank Pym version, as opposed to the Black Ant one, which is the colors would be flipped. So the outer circle would be silver, and then this center portion would be black. Looks pretty cool, though. Nothing too special here. On the back, the line work does continue. Mine is pretty centered pretty well. Don't have any issues with that. The paint apps on mine are pretty crisp, except for maybe this little bit of his boot right here. It does get a little bit sketchy right there, as you can see. And then on over on this side, it's nice and crisp and clean looking. So not the best as far as the boots are considered, but not a big issue either. He is a little bit loose in his head, as you can see there. He's got a little bit of the bobblehead issue, which I wonder why that is, because my Walgreens exclusive version is nice and tight, so that kind of sucks that happened. But obviously you can see the sculpted eyes under in the helmet there, and then the nice paint shading or nice paint apps for the face and the skin tone and everything like that. The eyes look pretty good. Both my eyes look pretty dead on, pretty normal. They're not derpy or anything like that, so no issue there. The helmet is just a plastic color. It's like almost like a shiny silvery color. So that's just something to add. Okay, as far as comparisons go with the previous version, Black Ant, as you can see here, it's pretty much top to bottom, the exact same mold. No differences. Obviously, the difference in mold, the difference in paint is obviously completely different, as you can see there. But there's your little comparison between the two. As far as Ant-Man's articulation does go, his head can swivel at a full 360 rotation. His head can look up. His head can look down. His head can pivot side to side. And he does have a little bit of job turkey, so... And then arms go up, down, full 360 rotation at the arm. Be careful with that butterfly joint, because it likes to get in the way of you rotating the arm. But both my butterfly joints are nice and nice fluid motion right there. He does have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, a swivel at the wrist, hinge joint, which goes back and forth. Same thing mirrors on the other side. He does have an ab crunch, and the sculpting and paint do continue on that, so nicely done. And crunch forward. The paint almost ends, I want to say, in the center. It's not really that big of a deal, to be honest with you, but it does continue a little bit. And then he does have a waist swivel, T-jointed hips, which go out, forward, back a little bit, upper thigh swivel, a double jointed knee. Really good range of motion, that double jointed knee. No calf swivel. He does have an ankle pivot, or an ankle hinge, which points the toe, points the heel, ankle pivot, and 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. Okay, so overall, my feelings on Ant-Man, I'm pleased that we finally got an Hank Pym classic-looking Ant-Man. It's just nothing really all that special, to be honest with you. It's just kind of a straight-up repaint of the Black Ant Walgreens exclusive figure. So if you already have the Black Ant and you really don't need another one, or you pass on the Black Ant and you just want one Hank Pym, or if you don't have the Toy Biz version, I'd say pick this up. But I'd wait for it to drop in price a little bit, to be honest with you. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I would say 90% of the paint apps on him are solid. Don't have any issues with those. The articulation's fluid. Don't have any issues with quality control with any of the joints freezing up or being too loose or anything like that. He's a little bit loose in the neck for my liking, but at the end of the day, it's not as loose as, me tapping the figure and then the head moves, as you can see right there. So that's kind of a non-issue, but it's something I have to point out, being a reviewer. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with it, and he's very simplistic in design, very simple figure overall, but it's a figure that I'm happy to add to my collection. Okay, and last up we have Wasp, and if you're probably wondering, hey, ODC, what are you talking about last? There's still one more figure in the wave. Scarlet Spider, I'm actually not going to be shooting his review because already have that version of Scarlet Spider, and I don't need another one. So my loss is your gain. I'm going to actually be giving that figure away in a future video. So stay tuned to my channel for that. I'm going to be giving away a couple Spider-Man figures. So stay tuned for that down the line. But I will not be reviewing that figure because I want that figure to be mint on card when I send that out to my next contest winner. But anyway, that's just something I wanted to note in this. The only figure that I won't be reviewing is that Scarlet Spider figure. So over here, though, we have Wasp, and she is the final figure I'll be reviewing. It says the Wasp right here, and it's got a nice blue with a nice white outline and a black and a nice black shadowing on it. Beautiful picture of Wasp right here. I really love this artwork right here for her. It looks absolutely gorgeous. She looks gorgeous. And then we have a picture of the little Ant-Man right there. And it mirrors the actual Ant-Man that I just reviewed. He had a little wasp hanging over his right shoulder, just like she's got a little Ant-Man hanging over her right shoulder. It looks really cool. It says includes a mini Ant-Man down there. There's the figure in the front. Flipping it around to the back, it has obviously the mirrored image like in the front, and then it says the Wasp right here. Nice little mini read-up. I guess I won't really call it nice. It's kind of lame. And then the rest of the figures in the wave. Okay, and we're back with Wasp out of packaging, and I'm really pleased with the way that this figure turned out. I'm very happy that Hasbro decided to give us one of the most sought-after Toy Biz figures, I want to say, as far as the Marvel Legends go, the old-school Toy Biz Marvel Legends go. I'm pleased to have it. It's nice that they decided to give us this classic look for her. I love this head sculpt for her. I think it looks beautiful. I like this head sculpt better than the other Ant-Man Wasp head sculpt that we got. I'm going to show you that little comparison in a second. But I think it looks really good. I'm very pleased with how she turned out. I like the color of the wings. They're kind of like a little nice translucent pink, which is a cool little look for her. I think it really brings out the blue and her skin tone and the white. It really, everything kind of accents each other very nicely in beautiful little subtle ways. The white on her is like almost like a pearlescent white. Looks really good. It's nice that it differentiates between the flat blue and the flat black, and even the flat color of her skin tone, which is consistent with her face and her neckline. It looks really good all the way down to the bosoms. Looks pretty good. I like it a lot, and I think she's pretty consistent. I want to say maybe the most consistent out of anyone in the wave, besides maybe Black Panther. He's pretty damn consistent. But I'm pretty pleased with her overall. Okay, and as far as comparisons go, here is the comparison between the Ant-Man Wave Wasp and the vintage Wave 2 Wasp. I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure that top from the neckline down, they are exactly the same. Same hands, same arms, same upper torso piece, same nice shape for the body. She's got a little bit of that womanly hourglass shape, which is beautiful. I love that. She's not on, that kind of teen body that everyone likes to throw women on for some reason. Everyone is not it's nice to see that she's got a little bit of curve to her. I like those hips and the thighs being a little bit thicker. That's nice. I like the paint deco definitely on her is far superior to her. I would say the paint shading though on the head, as far as that goes, is better on this Wasp than that. There's no black paint shading going throughout, but I don't really mind it all that much because I think it still looks pretty damn good, to be honest with you. Both head sculpts look really good. Me personally, I just kind of prefer this look for her over that look. But both head sculpts, like I said, are solid head sculpts. I'd say either Wasp that you get, if you want to pass on this one and you already own this scale, then I'd say stick with what you've got. It's still a solid figure overall, but both figures are solid figures. But me personally, I'm going to go with this one. I like the colors for her pop better. I think the line work is a lot better with her. I like the pink translucent wings. Just a nice little added touch for her. Very beautifully done as far as that goes. I don't have a whole lot of paint slop on this one. She's got a little bit of paint slop going throughout the breast area. It just kind of looks like it's fading. Maybe like it's bleeding. The black plastic underneath is bleeding through the yellow. It's just not as nice and metallic as this version. But that's just some pointers as far as comparisons go between the two figures. As far as Wasp's articulation goes, her head can swivel at a full 360 rotation. Just snapped her neck and now she's dead. Her head can look up in a nice flight pose. Beautifully done there. Really good range of motion on the way down too. She does pivot side to side beautifully, so that extra little bit of articulation, range of motion in that head really does give her some little bit extra added characteristics that we all love. She's got the best jive turkeys out of all of them. So there you go with that. Her arms can go up, all the way up. Beautifully done. Full 360 rotation at the arm. She does have a single jointed elbow right there. There we go. And it might be backwards. There we go. That looks a little bit more normal right there. That single jointed elbow with a swivel at the elbow, swivel at the wrist. She does have a hinge joint at the wrist as well. She also has some articulation in the wings, which they do swivel up and down. They also pivot side to side, or you can pivot them up and down that way. So we're on a hinge joint. I guess a pegged hinge joint. And then she also has a hinge joint here at the lower wings, I'll call them, because the larger wing would be up, the lower wing would be down. So there's that swivel there. And then she does have a diaphragm joint, which does swivel. Nice, really tight diaphragm joint right there. And she can crunch forward and back like so. And she can pivot side to side. And she does swivel like I just showed you. And she does have T-jointed hips, which go out about that far. Not the best, but they do go forward. And they go back, and look at the sculpting of the booty. Nice booty, great job. And then we do have a upper thigh swivel, a double jointed knee. And she points the heel, not the best, but she does point the toe nice. And she does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes at the bottom of the feet. As far as her paint apps do go, I wanted to just kind of point this out and kind of showcase this really quick, is the fact that all the line work on her is pretty solid. I do have to say for the most part. Even on the back of the neck, looks really good. Very solid there. I like the little kind of W-esque collared piece she's got going on there. I like this nice little V-style belt that she's got printed on there. It looks really good, and it's just a painted on black piece right there. That looks pretty cool. And then the painted design right here for the little arrows pointing down. It kind of reminds me of X-Pac, I'm going to be honest with you. But it looks really good. All the line work on her, very solid on mine. Don't have any issues. Yeah, that's just a quick little showing of her paint work, especially on the face. I think the face looks very solid. There is a little bit of a black dot right there, but you know what? I'm going to add a little mole. That's her little natural defect that she's got. I'm just going to keep that in my head, that is her mole, and that's the way she was born. And then maybe later on, because this is her early years, she got the mole removed. Why not? We could go that route. Okay, so overall, I'm really pleased with this figure. I keep finding myself saying that, even though I was kind of let down as far as the overall accessories here. I did want to include, before I let you all go, this little bit of the Ant-Man accessory here, since I almost forgot to include this, I'll be honest with you here. Really nice sculpt for the Ant-Man here. I really like the sculpt on that helmet. Looks really good. Even the line work on him is pretty solid, in that black line work right there on the front. Looks pretty cool. Even the little bit of silver on his belt is pretty well done. So I really don't have any issues with this little accessory. But does he stand? Let me just see. Does he want to stand? Not so much. You might want to get some. You might want to get some sticky tack for this guy to get him to stand in your display for both of them, including Ant-Man and Wasp. So there is that little accessory. I like the little bit of shininess on his helmet too. That looks pretty cool. But I digress with the Ant-Man accessory. Going back to the figure at hand here, she looks really good. I'm really pleased with this. I think that she's one of the stars in this wave. I really like the I can't get over those beautiful pink wings. They just look fantastic. I really like that, mixed with the blue and the white and the black, like I said earlier. It just flows very nice. Very, very good job, Hasbro, with the paint work with her, with giving us this look that really, this version of Wasp was really eluding me for years. I really wanted this version of her. I thought this was the superior version, even over the red version. And I really kind of prefer this one. So she's definitely going to be in the center of my Ant-Man display, my Ant-Man and Wasp display. So that pretty much is it for Wasp. Okay, so before I get to my final verdict, I'd like to rank these. I'll go from my least favorite to my favorite in the wave. First up, we have Hawkeye here. Then I would go with Ant-Man. Then I would go with Vision. Then I would go with Wasp. And then my favorite in the wave is Black Panther. I love him. He looks great, even though he's very simple. You almost might want to put Wasp with him, but cut and dry, I got to pick one. I'm going with Black Panther. I think he looks great. But Wasp is not far behind, and Vision's a really good figure too. I would give this a thumbs up. I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs up because it's missing some of that stuff, and at the price point that it's at, $20 a figure. When I'm paying $20 for a figure with accessories and a Build-A-Figure piece at the end of the day for an entire wave, I really think this is around the $15 to $17 price, or $15 to $17 price point. Excuse me. So I'll give it a thumbs up. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how all these figures turned out, with the exception of that damn eye on Hawkeye. His name is Hawkeye. For God's sake, you could have got the eye right. And there she goes. Well, with that being said, since Wasp went to sleep and Vision's flying off to go to bed as well, I'm going to go to bed also because it's late. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications until you see 2 little parentheses. Good night, Wasp. Good night, Vision. Good night to you. And I'll see you guys on the flip side.